It's Tracy Reed here today, and we are starting in Silhouette Studio because I'm showing you yet another way to use digital stamps in your paper scrapbooking. So I get a lot of questions about digital stamps. That's why I decided to create a series on how to use them, complete with layouts in which I use the whatever I'm creating. So today I'm going to show you how to use digital stamps with your foil quill. So, oh my gosh, you guys, my life has changed. I got a foil quill for Christmas, but I had been sort of hesitant to use it, and I just used it to make this video, and I am dying at the cuteness. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm actually going to be using this digital stamp, which is like a frame stamp. And all you have to do is drag and drop it into Silhouette. And I actually want it to be a little bit bigger. And it's okay to resize this digital stamp a little bit bigger in Silhouette Studio because Silhouette has created a vector-based outline for this stamp already. And because it sort of vectorizes the stamp, even though the stamp is pixels, and I'm not going to be printing and cutting, I'm just going to be using my foil quill. Nothing's going to be pixelated or out of place, so I can make this bigger without being too concerned about it. So I'm going to make it 4.5 inches because a Life Crafted page is 5 inches wide, so I want it to be almost the entire width. So I'm going to do 4.5 inches wide. And this digital stamp is sort of delicate, and it would be too delicate, trust me, I tried, too delicate to cut as a digital, like as a cut file, but it is perfect and beautiful when using the foil quill. So once you have your stamps arranged and sized to what you want, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a couple more stamps into this dead space in here in the frame because when you foil quill it comes out in sheets, and so I don't want to waste any of this space right here, so I'm going to actually add a few more stamps here. And I thought that these hearts would probably be really cool on the foil quill, so I'm going to drop these in here and see what happens. Now that is a little bit large, so let's just do, I mean I can resize it, so let's do that. Let's make them both a little bit smaller. So I just selected them both, and I'm going to drag from the corner to make them a little bit smaller. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure it's nice and far away from this because we are going to be foil quilling and then we are going to be cutting, which means we're going to have to add die lines as well. So you want to make sure that you're far enough away from here that this the die lines for this aren't going to get caught up in the die lines for this. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both by clicking and dragging, and then I'm going to go to the offset panel and I'm going to offset this cut. Let's see what happens. Perfect. Look at that. It's almost perfect just as it is. So I like this size ring around here, but I do not want it to cut out all of these hearts because first of all, it's a little bit fussy and delicate, so it's going to be hard to do. Second of all, I just want solid hearts, solid white hearts. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select just this circle, and I'm going to right click and release compound path. And then I'm just going to go in and use my mouse and select all of the parts that I don't want to cut. Oops, that's not what we want. Okay. Why isn't this selecting? I think I released the wrong compound path, so let's try that again. All right, we want this one, so right click, release compound path. Okay, now I should be able to select just, oh, you know what, maybe it's because it's on the top. Hold up, 1 second. Okay, so that's what was going on. I could not select the actual offset cut line that I created. It kept selecting the foil line that I didn't want selected, so I just sent the foil lines to the back and then brought the cut lines to the front. You saw me do that with the right clicking, And then I can now go in and select all of these little bits and pieces that I don't want cut. It's a little tedious, especially if you get something super complicated. There's easier ways to do it, but they involve a little bit more. They're easier, but they're a little bit more complex as far as functionality goes, so I'm just doing it this way. All right, so we've got everything ready to cut and ready to foil. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my cut lines. Now, there was another way to do this, and someone told me I could change the color of the cut lines and then choose which color I wanted to do what, but I'm a little bit slow when it comes to things like that. When it comes to learning new programs, well, I guess that's not true, but I just haven't taken the time yet. So the first thing I want to do is I want to select everything, and what's going to make it easier for you is obviously the silhouette feeds from here. And if you move your everything that you want foiled up to this top corner, it's going to be hard to get the foil off for you to cut it going forward. So the best thing to do is to orient your foiling and cutting down towards the bottom of the mat, because then it will be easier for you to peel off the foil without removing the mat from the silhouette, so that you can then cut the foil out. So I'm going to orient my cut file down there at the bottom, and then I'm going to select the cut lines, not the foil lines. Oh, well, okay, let's try that again. The cut lines, not the foil lines. I'm just going to drag them off of the screen. Obviously, I need to grab both sides. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to drag them off the screen, and then after I foil, I can just come back over here to design and hit Control Z, and it will put them right back where they need to be. So just, that's the way I'm going to do it. I can change colors. If there's an easier way for you to do it that way. But I don't want it to be foiling those, so we're not going to do that. So now we go to send, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have already heated up your foil quill. It should have been heating up while you were getting your cut file ready to go, and you're going to want to put it into carriage 1 for your silhouette machine using the D little pen holder thing that came with the foil quill. And then you're going to want to go to sketch, and you're going to want to, all right, sketch, there we go, choose sketch. Okay, then we're going to choose pen. I don't have mine on yet, so it says awaiting connection, but you're going to want to make sure it says pen and not like auto blade. And then the difference between sketch and sketch edge. So if I hit sketch, you can see it has nice little lines right that perfectly conform to the digital stamp. If I hit sketch edge, it's a little bit messier. It's going to try and go around the stamp. It's not going to work out as well. So you're going to want sketch. Now, one thing is the foil quill will not fill in this heart. So it's actually going to be just the outline. So it's going to have all these little sketch lines, and it's going to have just the outline of this heart. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It does not fill in the black parts, so just keep that in mind. So then you're going to want, I actually slow mine down. I think it auto fills to 7 for speed, 5 or 7, and I felt like it was too fast. It was kind of missing spots a little bit, so I slow mine down to 3. This force is fine, and then you're going to want to send it through. Then once you've sent it through the foil, and I will show you it doing that in just a second. Once you've sent it through the foil, you're going to go back to design. You're going to have removed the foil from the paper, but you're going to leave the mat in the machine, and you're going to leave the paper where it is. Don't touch anything. Don't take it out. Just remove the foil carefully, and then come back to silhouette and hit Command or Control Z to put your cut lines back where they go. Eventually, there we go. And then go ahead and delete the actual foil lines or move them off the page, whatever works for you. So now I have just the cut lines. So I'm going to go back to send, and I'm going to change the action to cut. And it's going to automatically, I'm going to put my auto blade back in. It's going to automatically recognize my auto blade. I'm going to send it back through without ever having removed the mat or the paper so that it has a perfect cut still. I'm going to send it back through and it's going to cut out this stamp. Now, with these stamps specifically, there are some places where it might get a little bit sketchy. So if you go back to design and hit this, edit point tool, you can go in and just delete this extra little swoopy part that goes in here just using your delete key so that it has a curve right here instead. And I'm going to do the same thing over here for this so that it doesn't try and cut in and ruin itself. Okay. Yep, that's better. Maybe one more point. Just to be safe. I'm a little bit it's like precious metals, right? I'm a little bit scared of it getting ruined. So there we go. All right, now we can send it through to cut. Okay, so a few things. There are a few different tips for your foil quill. The pink is a fine tip, the blue is a bold tip, the teal is the regular tip. You could probably do with the fine tip for this specific stamp, but generally the regular tip will work for most things. So I'm going to use the regular tip. You're also going to need a power source. The Silhouette Cameo 4 does not have a USB port in it. You can use like one of those portable chargers for your phones, or you can just, you know, plug it into the wall. I happen to have a wall plug close enough. Obviously my Silhouette needs to be plugged in, so I got a wall plug close enough. And then there are these adapters for your machines. The D adapter works best for the Silhouette 4. So you just screw this on and then put it in your machine. So I'm gonna do all that, and I'm gonna start warming up my foil quill, and then the magic is gonna happen. Okay, so I've got my foil quill heated up. You can see it's on because it's blue. And I've got my Silhouette mat ready to go with my foil tapes down. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it to have much give here so it doesn't get caught up in the machine. You can see it's oriented down in the bottom corner. So I'm gonna feed it in as usual into my Silhouette machine. And then I'm going to hit send on my Silhouette, and it is going to foil quill down there where I have my design. You can see it working its magic here. Now my foil quill actually did become unplugged. You can see me struggling to plug it back in here. So I had to redo this, of course. Of course I did. Okay, so the foil has finished, and so I'm just gonna peel it off gently. It's gonna be a little imperfect in places, the beauty of all of this, but that's okay, no big deal. Peel it off, be careful not to stick it to your Silhouette mat like I just did because I'm trying to do this one-handed. Okay, so it's still on my Silhouette. You can see if you stick it to your Silhouette mat, you're gonna get foil on your Silhouette mat. But you can see it is done foiling. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to leave it in my Silhouette machine just like it is, and I'm going to go back, change it to my cut lines, and then cut it. All right, so everything is cut out and ready to go. I'm going to be using this with this adorable picture of my bestie and I. So here are the hearts. I'm not sure how I'm going to incorporate everything yet, but it's going to be cool. I love this foil. So pretty. There we go. There, now you can see it. Ah, so fun. All right, here we go. All right, so I knew that I wanted this frame to wrap around my photo, and I wanted this pink marbled background for my main page, but I felt like the pink marbled background washed us out a little bit, so I wanted to incorporate this beautiful cranberry color behind our photo because I felt like it helped to not wash us out, I guess. So I'm going to trim it down to just a photo mat because I definitely want the large pink background and not the maroon background, and I want to slip this in between the photo and the frame, so I'm just going to offset it a little bit. I couldn't quite, I was struggling a little bit to get it in between the photo and the frame since I had already kind of stuck the photo down like a dork, but We got it in the end. I'm going to trim this up so that it has a nice even border. And then we are rocking and rolling. I can stick this down. I'm going to center it right in the middle of the page, or at least close to the middle of the page, vertically, so that it is the main attraction, and also because I'm going to stack the two cards vertically on the other side of the page, so it's going to give it some nice symmetry with it being right in the middle of those two cards. Maybe symmetry is not the right word. Maybe balance is the word I'm going for. So I'm going to take these two cards and I'm going to back them on another sheet of paper, or I need some delineation between the cards and the background, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to go behind them. And then I realized that I hadn't printed my journaling yet, so I went ahead and did that at my computer. And now I'm going to trim down both cards so that they are not quite 3x4. As you can see, there's a lot of extra space on that 3x4 card with that cute rainbow, so I'm going to trim it down so it's not quite so large and it doesn't take up as much horizontal space on the page. So now I'm going to back them both on pink. This one is not a pink marble background, it's actually a pink solid background, but the solid backgrounds in the My Person collection have sort of a watercolory look, so it really plays well with that marble background too. So I'm going to trim this down, and then I decide that it also I needed some green on this side as well, so I'm going to add in some more paper on the other side, or not, I'm not going to mat it, but I'm going to add in like a paper strip on the outside edge with this green gingham, because there was a lot of pink and cranberry in this page, but not a lot of green except for on the card, so I felt like I needed to bring in some more green. I'm going to do that on the other side too once I start embellishing. Of course, I need to incorporate these beautiful rose gold embellishments that I made. All right, so now we are ready to start embellishing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this other heart. I felt like I didn't want it to be on the right-hand side with that big frame, but it does end up going over there. All right, so I've pulled out a bunch of embellishments, and that's kind of one of my tricks for embellishing your layouts, or at least making it go a little bit faster, is I go ahead and I pull out everything out of the collection that I think I might use. So I put it in piles according to what it is. You can see over there in the top right corner, I've got like the stripy hearts all stacked on each other, the arrows all stacked on each other, and that way I can go through my embellishments like type or grouping by grouping, type by type, and start incorporating them in or discarding them like I have on the left hand side there. Every time I decide, no, I'm not going to use this, I just discard it into a little bowl so that I can put it back with its collection when I'm all done. So I had to incorporate these rainbows, of course, because the collection is full of rainbows, so I wanted to make sure I got some of those in. And then I wanted my title to be You and Me, the Best of Friends. And then I have my little caption up there that says where we were. So I've got some great clustering going on here, but it still feels just slightly not balanced yet. So I got to work on the left-hand side here. So I decided to start adding this little heart confetti, which actually came from the offcuts of the scalloped heart, like the heart scallop that I cut from the digital kit, from the My Person digital kit. So I had all these little hearts that were like on the insides of those scallops that I had left over. So I'm going to use those as confetti. And then I'm going to add these hearts here, and it still feels so off balance, but I pull it together with one of the arrows in between the two cards, and I'm going to call it good after I decide which arrow. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love for you to hop along the rest of the My Person YouTube train. There are links in the description box below. All right, thank you.